Studying in the U.S. has never really crossed my mind. However, my dad, who went to college in the U.S., wanted me to try looking into the schools. So I started off by going to Deerfield Academy for their summer, and then after that, my whole perspective shifted. So I decided to apply to 10 schools.
Welcome back to Life Library, where we delve into the inspiring stories of individuals who have pursued their passions and achieved remarkable success. Today we are joined by Suan Kamong Jong Chalern Sili, also known as Nong Tonnam. Having previously studied at Shrewsbury International School, Thailand, Tonnam is here today to share about her path to her new school, Loomis Chaffee in the US. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. First of all, what sparked your interest when deciding to move to schools in the US?
Studying in the U.S. has never really crossed my mind. However, my dad, who went to college in the U.S., wanted me to try looking into the schools. So I started off by going to Deerfield Academy for their summer, and then after that, my whole perspective shifted. So I decided to apply to 10 schools.
Right. So you never had your mindset on applying, like you said. And when you had your mindset, how long exactly did you have left to prepare?
Around 4 months.
You only had 4 months to prepare to go to high school and apply?
Yeah.
Wow. So when did you go to the Deerfield summer camp?
Last year.
So it would be the summer of year 8?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So after you went to Deerfield and then you came back, you realized that you really wanted to go. So do you mind elaborating on what you meant by when you said that it really has shifted your perspective?
Well, at first I thought US was kind of dangerous a bit, because most of my friends goes to the UK, and so I was kind of scared of going there. But then after that, it turns out it wasn't even that bad. It's more like nature, and many people love dogs there as well, and I feel like it also has a lot of opportunities for me there.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned that when you came back and you had the shift in perspective, like you said, and you applied to 10 schools. When you applied to 10 schools, obviously this would be the top schools of high school in the US. And why did you choose Loomis at the end? What was your key factor in choosing that Loomis was the school that you wanted to go to?
Well, at first, I was accepted to 7 schools.
Wow.
And then lowered down to 3 schools that I wanted to go. So it was Taft, Middlesex, or Loomis. And then based on how the visit went, and then I liked the vibe at Loomis, and also I feel Middlesex is more academic based, and Loomis is more well-rounded, and there's sports and theater and many other opportunities there as well.
That's really good. So you mentioned briefly that you visited these schools. Did you visit all 10?
7 that
you were accepted to. And do you think for parents who are thinking of sending their kids to high school in the US that this is an important thing for you to do, and also experience when choosing that, okay, this is the main one that I want to go to?
Yeah, I think it's really important because it's where you will be living, since it's a boarding school as well. So you gotta like the vibe and the community there.
So it's a really good point that you mentioned that for you personally, you wanted a high school which is all-rounded, and especially when you do both sports, music, and excel in academics as well. It's really important that you have a school that supports you all-rounded as well. So you liked Loomis and you apply, and so I want to backtrack to talk about your application process. So you said that you only had 4 months to apply to all of these 10 schools. What were some key components of the applications that overlapped between the high schools?
I would say for my safety schools, it's more of my extracurriculars and my profile in general. But for the reach schools, I would say the SSAT is a part that will make you go through the first cut, and then after that it's going to be recommendations and your reports at school. Yeah, that's the main part.
So you mentioned SSAT, and how did you prepare for this when having only 4 months left? And when did you take the test?
I took the test 4 times, and the first 3 was really bad because like it was like during like school, so I had less time to revise. But then after that, I did it after the Christmas break, and I used that score
to apply. Okay, great. So you definitely think that you need to prep for the SSAT, and how did you do so in getting that score that was achievable to literally the top high school in the US?
I got like the tutors, and then for the math part, it wasn't that hard for me, but I really struggled with like the English sections, which are like reading and verbal. And so for the reading part, I was recommended to like read novels. So I was recommended to read like Harry Potter and like to get used to like the like narrative style.
Right.
And also like be exposed to like the vocabularies. And that helped me get my reading score high. And for the verbal section, it's more like just remembering like a long list of words and like root words.
So like there was obviously like a long list of vocabulary that you need to remember for the SSAT, and you clearly excelled in that because then Loomis has. Do you think that's one of the main components that has gotten you into Loomis? Or if not, then do you mind briefly describing what do you think to you? Obviously you wouldn't know what the admissions were thinking, but to you, what you think this was the reason why they chose me?
I feel like it's my recommendation. They did say my recommendations were really good. And I would also say my like profile in general, because I feel like Loomis is like wants to like find a person who's like well-rounded and like joins many activities for like Loomis in specific. But like for other schools, it was also like mostly SSATs.
Right. So before moving on to talk about how you built your profile and then like the extracurriculars, I want to go back and talk about your recommendations. So how many recommendations do you need to apply with when applying to a high school, and how did you choose the teacher that would bring out the most in you?
They would set so that it was like English teachers, math teachers, and most schools had like third language teachers, and one school required a science teacher. But that.
So you just chose it based off the school, like the teachers that you had. So you didn't have like a choice compared to like university, whereas when you could have chosen any of your subjects, you had like a set list of subjects that you needed to tick box for you to send.
Yeah, but there was also like optional teacher, so like I can just like choose one teacher, and I chose like my geography teacher and also who's also my football coach, so he could talk about both.
Great, that was really handy then, because then it could come in as like showing you when you play sports as well, and also the academic side of geography. So with writing your essays and building a strong profile, this can be really challenging at the age of, you applied at the age of around 12, right?
13.
Around 13 and 12, yeah. How did you approach this part of the application process? In terms of how did you prepare for building your profile and then like crafting essays?
For the essays, I just like brainstorm like topics and maybe stories, and then I choose the one that I think I could elaborate on the most. And then I did one draft where I just put like as much information as I can, and then the next draft I just like tidy it up and like add points or shorten points based on like the limit. And it's like I use around like 4 to 8 drafts.
Wow. So even in like university level, obviously there's so many drafts that you have to do with essays, and being it to perfection is really difficult. So seeing that like at the high school level you've progressed and like challenged yourself to do this many essays, and the essays aren't sent to all one school as well, right? It's like per school you have to do multiple essays.
Yeah, but there's like 4 essays that's sent to every school as well.
So in when you're applying to high school in the US, there's 4, which is the main essays that you send to all, and then there's supplements for each school. So how many supplements did you have per school?
It really depended on the school, but it varies from like 2 to like 5 or 6.
Wow, so that is quite a lot of essays considering you're applying to 10. That's around like 64 essays you had to write in 4 months.
Yeah, but like some schools didn't require supplement essays.
Right,
so,
okay,
like,
so it just differed between which school. Okay, right, that's correct. So how did you manage to build that profile that you were mentioning earlier? Like, what academics and achievements and extracurricular activities did you believe played a significant role in the application process for you? Because I know you do so many in terms of like music, sports, and like super curriculars for maths and stuff. Do you mind running us through?
Yeah, so in total I feel like it's like all of them combined, but then the like I do piano, and then the sports it's like football, volleyball, and badminton. I did debate like once, and then there's...
You also mentioned that you took the UKMT Maths Challenge.
Yeah.
Which is really difficult in terms of like students who are trying to get that extra super curricular in their profile, or like just wants to challenge themselves. How did you study for the UKMT? Because I also took the UKMT before, and to me, I just used the questions in their website, and like that I think really limits what you can get as well, if that makes sense.
I just did practice questions and timed myself to like get used to a process and like timing, basically.
So what were your achievements in UKMT?
At first I did in year 6, I got bronze, then I think in year 7 I got silver, and then gold in year 8.
Wow. So it's definitely a upwards trend, which most of the high schools would love to see, especially when a student wants to go out of their comfort zone and like excel more in like the subject that you learn, especially in this case it's maths. And for sports and music, was that just a passion activity, or did you like want to do it because of the profile that you wanted to build for Loomis?
I just did it like since like I was really young anyway, so I just continued.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really good that she mentioned, because specifically for Loomis, like you said in the beginning, it's a very holistic process, similar to actually applying in the university level. They look at your sports, your music, because that is what's known for Loomis. So, and I'm glad that you have found your school. And do you think that is important for aspiring high school students who want to go and move to the US to find the school that matches with themselves?
I think it's really important, because like if it doesn't match with you, then like you won't like it, and it would...
Yeah.
You have to stay there for 4 years, so...
Oh, so high school would be 4 years as well. Oh, wow, okay. Great. So you've gone through the first process, so they reviewed your application, you sent in the profile recommendations, SSAT, and then that's the first part, right? And then they admitted you to the second round, which is, did you have an interview for all the schools, or was it like part of the first round as well?
I feel like it's just like one round, so it's like it's mostly part of the first round, yeah.
So how did your interview go? Did every school have an interview?
Yeah, every school did have an interview for me, and most of them was good. It was okay. They just needed to know more about you. But then like the like reach schools, some of them the questions are a bit hard.
Do you mind like explaining what you mean by hard, and like what type of questions for like students who are trying to prepare for that?
So one of my schools that I applied to, they asked like if you had all the time in the world, what would you do? And that really threw me off a bit.
Yeah. That is really difficult actually, because was it online in person or was it online?
Online.
Wow, but then how did you adapt to situations like that when you don't know what to answer?
I just like thought of like the most randomest things. Like I really didn't know what to answer for those questions. But it like also really depends on the interviewer, because I only had like one hard interview, I think, and that was that one. But the rest is just like normal questions.
Oh, that's good. So did you do any preparation for the interviews when you're applying?
Yeah, I looked at the websites and like see which schools like focus on what, because like I would link that to what I do and then tell them about the things that's like linked to what they focus on. So like,
wow.
It's like, yeah.
That is actually really a good point, because finding the personality of the school and matching it with your profile so that they see that you are a perfect match for the school is definitely crucial, as you mentioned, in all levels actually, high school and university. And the reason why, and when you've managed to do that, it's actually quite rather incredible, because then when you speak to them, they're like, oh, it's like that you know about their school already and you've done some research about that. So definitely prepare for interviews, like you said, and all your interviews went well, except for that one spontaneous question. But at the end of the day, I feel like when at least you've gave it a go, and I think that's really what the school's looking for. There's no right or wrong answer in these type of interviews, and they just want to see you give it a go at like a spontaneous questions, which like they have, and you have given a try, not just given them like a blank response. So finally, do you have any last pieces of advice you would want to give to high school students or prep school students who are aiming to apply for high school in the US?
I would say to like find the school that fits you, and also make sure when you're applying to do both safety and reach schools, just in case you don't get into like the top ones.
Right, that makes sense. So make sure you have a wide range of schools and find the schools that best fits you in the end out of your accepted ones. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing your detailed insights and experience on preparing for high school in the US within just the span of 4 months. And your journey is truly inspiring, and I hope that this will help many students aiming to study abroad in the US. So thank you so much for coming today.